My name is David Singh. I'm age 53. I was born in New Delhi in India. I'm one of 13 children. My other brothers and sisters were all born in the UK. I just happened to be born in India. My parents were in India at the time on holiday. My grandfather came here originally in 1937. He came here to work. He stayed in Bute Street in the docks, old docks area. He worked probably as a labourer on the docks. The war started 2 years later. He stayed here during the war, and then after the war, obviously he wanted to go back to Lahore because we were from Lahore, which is part of British India at that time. But that got partitioned off, so we lost all our homelands, all our properties. So my grandfather was stateless, I think, and he was given a British passport in 1948, and that's when he brought the rest of the family over. My earliest memories of a child is my father taking me to school the first day when I was 5 years old. I can remember growing up in parts of Riverside where there was a lot of, we used to call them bomb patches, where houses had been bombed during the war, and there were still quite a lot of properties, there's still a lot of bomb patches around Riverside area, and we used to go play along there, and it was a bit of rough ground. But yes, it was happy memories. We were the only Asian family at that time in Kitchener Road Primary School, in our school. There wasn't many Asian families actually in Riverside. So yes, there was a bit of racism, but mainly it was quite a happy time. It was probably in a curious way, so we didn't really think it as racism. They obviously asked questions, but I don't think some of the teachers actually knew the answers either. Early Sikhs, they used to go ex-directory because there was cases of people phoning up and giving abuse. So I can remember my parents, they were always, their phones was always ex-directory. Because we used to get sometimes people come up and saying, you know, we're going to come in your house and do this. So we always went ex-directory after that. But there's my grandfather's telephone number at Weldon Street, back from the early 50s in the library. The earliest memories of Cardiff, growing up in Cardiff. Of course, I can remember quite a lot of buildings which have come down now or gone since. I can remember all parts of Canton, old Weldon Street. My grandfather's lived in Weldon Street, and there'd be tiny little pubs there, and they were just houses where they used to call them the front parlour. The front rooms were turned into bars. And many times I used to go and get my grandfather here to come home for his tea. Quite a lot of lanes I remember in Canton. A lot of houses had little lanes at the backs, and I can remember quite a lot of lanes as well down in Old Buton as well. About Cardiff, I remember the Queen visited in 1965 when I was 5 years old. And another thing I remember, it was when Prince Charles was made a prince. And we were all given mugs with photos on it, which I still got. And street parties, I remember street parties quite a lot as well, and those always stick out because the celebration, the bunting up in, you know, and people getting together, and them days, I can remember people's doors it wasn't locked. You just knock and you could walk in, friends' houses, you can knock, you could walk in, and you were always welcome. And there was a bit of more of a community feel about the streets. Everybody knew their neighbours. People lived longer. People were born in the same house and lived there all their lives. Well, we expected to do babysitting. So as the younger brothers and sisters, I expected to do some babysitting. But also because we're such a large family, we used to go out actually with my brothers. We used to go to our neighbours, visit our neighbours, and run errands for them. So after school, every day after school, we used to run along to the local area around the block, across the road. Practically every single house in our block, we used to go there, and there's a lot of elderly people who live there. And we used to be the only people actually to go there, and they used to have the money ready for us to note. We used to run to the shops. There was no supermarkets in them days, so we used to run to a local shop, bread, milk, whatever they needed to come back. and they always reward us with a threepenny piece or a sixpence piece. And basically that was our pocket money. Obviously sweets, but also comics. I used to love reading. I always used to buy comics. I loved reading the old Dandies, Beanos, and some of the old war. There's been quite a lot of war comics at that time as well. Yes, we wore. My father didn't have a belt, but he did have a slipper. And yes, I've had a slipper a few times. I see him in school. Sometimes you used to get a hit in school, but I think my mother never liked using that, but my father used to sometimes. Yeah, we did misbehave, I suppose. There was one game my mother was like, actually, it was like playing with 5 pebbles. You had to pick one pebble up at a time. You had to throw it up in the air, and you just have to land on the back of your hand. Then you just flick it up again, catch it in your hand, and then you have to pick another pebble up while you got one in your hand, and you actually got 5. That was an old game my mum used to say they used to play back home in Lahore. We do take our religion quite seriously. I used to be clean shaven. I used to have a haircut all my life. It was only last 10 years I started growing my beard and not cutting my hair. The reason why my children were growing up, and I think for myself, well, they're going to ask me, you know, why you got a haircut and why can't we cut our hair? So I thought, well, I'm going to become a Sikh as well, a fully Sikh. We go to church. We go to the Gurdwara regularly every Sunday, and we just try to we get advice from the priests. We try to do good things in life and just try to live a good life according to our Guru Granth Sahib, which is a holy book. That's right. Yes. You got the Kachera, Kara, Ganga, which is. We don't always wear that. I mean, we wear the Kara, which is a silver bracelet. Kachera is just like an undergarment. We have a Kandaris, we're supposed to carry little swords, which is not really practical. And a Gangar is a wooden comb, which we're supposed to keep all the time in our underneath the turban. But again, that's not really needed in this country. So we just nowadays we just stick with the steel bracelet, which is called a Kara. It's very good. Sikhs are not bad from entering any other religious place. Because we believe in God, there's only one God. So we happily could go to a church, to a synagogue or to a mosque and pray, because we know at the end of the day there's only one God, if we are led to. So if somebody said to us, yes, you're welcome to come and pray in our place, you haven't got a place of worship, come and we would happily do that. There was a case recently of there was a monsoon up in the north east of India, and there was a part. It was part of Ramadan, and there was 800 Muslim people there. The temple had been washed away, the mosque had been washed away, and the Sikh community offered their Sikh temple, say to them, you could come and worship here in the dry, and they actually did. So we offer our Sikh Gurdwara is open to anybody, just about what religion, you could just come there, meditate, do your prayers, and same as we're allowed to go anywhere as well. It was getting weakening. But I think now because of the social networks, satellite TVs on the Sikh religion, people are more aware of their religions, and they're taken a bit more seriously, and some of the things they never knew. Now a lot of the Sikh communities have is the third generations, but people are still keeping their hair long, keeping the traditions going. Whether this will carry on, I'm not too sure. One of the ethos of Sikhs is that sometime in their life they always got to do some seva. Seva means like doing work for charity, unpaid work, giving back something back to the community. Whether it could be like helping a neighbor, or sometimes you do it through the temple by helping cooking food, cleaning, and it makes you feel good that you're actually doing something, and you've been part of the community and you're giving something back. So I think a lot of the Sikh women actually go into that and say, all right, then we'll start. Sometimes they start as childminders, or doing voluntary work at the local nurseries. At the same time, they get some qualifications, but at the same time, they're doing some good as well, picking up work experience. And I always believe work experience is pretty good, because it's so much about experience that people look at your CV and say, right, yes, may not have the qualifications, but you have so much experience. And it always look good when you're doing voluntary work. We believe women are equal. So on paper, really, there shouldn't be no discrimination, that people should be able to mix freely. I mean, some families are a bit more reserved, so they'll say that, yes, maybe the women aren't. Like in the Sikh temple, we have the men sitting on one side and we have the women sitting on the other sides. That's just out of respect for the women. Sometimes you don't know who you maybe going to sit to next to, but if you sit next to a man, it's fine. But generally, if there's any event going on, people are allowed to mix, sit on same tables, sit amongst themselves, among family or people they know. So it's there's no restrictions at all. I think they mix quite well. I think one of the reasons was the way my grandfather, when he first came here, he came to Tilbury Dock in London. And for some reason, somebody said to him, come to Wales, because the people are very friendly here. And that's one of the reasons why he came here. And that's always been the case, and I think it have been, the Welsh have got a bit of a rivalry with the English, and they're happy with the Sikh community or any other communities. In fact, I think they always say that you're okay as long as you're not English. I think it's having a identity that you're Welsh, you're a Sikh, but you're a Welsh Sikh. I think that's very important. When we go to England, we go to Scotland, and people straight away they can tell from our accents, and I think the accents are very important. And people always say, "Oh, you're from Wales, are you?" Yes. Wales always seem to be seen from part of England. Always seem to be like the poor cousin of the UK. But we try to tell them, with people, but say yes, in England you came in the 60s, but we've been here for 30 years before you, in Wales. The people are great, and people do ask us. I was recently at a fundraising event up in Snowdonia, in North Wales. And there's quite a lot of people there, Sikhs from England, and they were asking, what's Wales like? It's the first time we've been up here. So friendly, the people are so nice here. And I said, yes, and you should come down to South as well. It's pretty good, I think I think they would love to be more part of Wales. When some of the things I always write down when people ask for at the end of the surveys, to your ethnicity, your religion, I'd always like to put on there Welsh Sikh. I'm proud to be Sikh, but I'm also proud to be Welsh as well. And most Sikhs, if you ask a Sikh, they will happily say yes, we're Welsh, but we're Sikhs as well. I had an uncle actually who was my grandfather's brother's son, and he actually spoke Welsh. He used to go to the West. He used to go to West Wales, Swansea, Hertford West area, and work. And he told me, he said to get on with people, he said, you got to learn the local lingo, he said, and they embrace you. He said, as soon as you show them what you're willing to learn, even a few words, he said, people are so happy, and they'll actually come and buy stuff off you. The turban is it's an identity. If you've got 1,000 people in a crowd and you got one person with a turban, straight away you notice there's a Sikh here. But there could be other people there. You would not be able to tell which country they're from. But if there's one person with it, it's an identity. It's also we don't cut our hair. We make sure our hair is kept tidy. And we always say, well, God made you with a beard, with long hair, and why cut it? In Wales, I started my life as working in a bakery. I was a dough maker. Then I had my own business, a shop up in the valleys. Then I started working. I started volunteering on committees, various committees. because my interest was trying to help other people who are less fortunate than myself, I started volunteering with some children's charities. I become chair of a children's charity, vice chair for about 5 years. I become a parent governor, and then when my children left, I went as a community governor to local primary school. And then when I saw my business, I was at the crossroads. I think, what shall I do? And because I've been volunteering with children, an opportunity come up for a paid employment, working with young people with learning difficulties. So I took that. He said it was something I always wanted to do, and I thought if he's going to pay me, is the way forward. People are surprised when I speak to them on the phone and I say my name is David, and when we do meet, sometimes they take him back because they look, oops, we thought they think they're speaking to a white Welshman, and it's only when they realise when they see me and they say, oh, but they're surprised, and it's just that they apologise, you know, but it's no need for that. I mean, it's a common mistake, anybody could do that. But otherwise, yes, I find it quite interesting and quite well received as well, and people do. I mean, I could just try to do my best to help people in any way I can. When my father used to do some part-time work, he used to sell some clothes up in the valleys. He used to buy from the local wholesalers, and he used to sell them to the farmers. And everybody his name was Waletti, but everybody started calling him David, which is Welsh for David. So when I was born, he said, right, then I'm going to call this son David. And that's how I got my name. No, they all got Punjabi names, Sikh names. Quite well. The Sikhs, we always we instill into our children that you got to integrate to be accepted, a part of society, become part of society. Get to know your neighbours. You know, if anybody needs help, always be there for them. By showing that actually that you're always there, you're always willing to help, I think people do accept you straight away. I'm a local neighbourhood watch coordinator in my street, so people always now talk to me in the street, don't know them, smile, say good morning to you, and I think it's very important to be part of to integrate in society. If you don't integrate, people always got suspicion about some people, but perhaps once you start talking to people say, well, they're no different than us. You know, maybe they're a different relation or religion, but you know, they get on fine with you. We celebrate, especially parties, weddings. If anybody's got a new child or bought a new house, what we do in the Sikh temple is. But every temple there's food available after the service, which is called langar, and that's part of a Sikh society, Sikh ethos, which everybody's welcome to that food. That food's always vegetarian, because some people can't eat certain meats, so everybody can eat vegetarian. And what people do is people donate the money towards that food. So if somebody's had a grandson, they want to celebrate that with everybody. So by donating the money, inviting everybody in, and then having the food blessed, and their name is saying that they actually donating this, everybody gets to celebrate. So whether you bought a new car or a new house, you got a grandchild, a granddaughter, new job, always somebody's always celebrating something every Sunday. And that's where we meet up, and everybody meets up after the service. So we eat food, we have a chat. We catch up on, you know, what your friends and family are doing. Yes, the martial arts come about because of our history Sikh warriors. We also know as Sikh warriors, our previous saints, they wouldn't take up arms. It was only our last saint, the 10th saint, actually, he took up arms and said, look, we are getting persecuted. We get forced to change, become something we don't want to. Everybody should have a right to whatever religion they like. So they took up arms, and they just fought sword with swords, and they developed the martial arts from there. And I'm not sure whether some of the martial arts which now people have in China actually originated from Cardiff, from India, the northern part of India. Okay, my children are all married now. My daughters, obviously, they're gone to live where their husbands come from. So, got a daughter in Newport, one in Edinburgh, and one in London. My son, the sons always live close by to their parents. So unless obviously work or something, otherwise takes them away. So yes, my grandchildren are brought up with the way of the Sikh religion. They come around regular, so we try to have a very close knit family. So the grandchildren are all on every other day. Yes, I mean I often go to St. Fagans quite a lot. I've been to the Bhutan History Museum twice, but I don't think they have got a lot of history about the Sikhs. There's one in the city centre as well, what the old library was, the Cardiff story. I think I've been there as well. Again, I noticed there wasn't quite a lot of information about the Sikhs who came here during the early 40s, 50s.
So is there any way you think those museums could actually encourage people from your community to go there?
Yes, I think if they had information about the early Sikhs, pictures, which is, I mean, there's plenty available. The people would actually go there and say, right, try to find out the history of the early Sikhs who came here.